This season of my life is called molting, and the focus on this season is not to add anything new, but get rid of the things that I don't need anymore. So I can move into the next season. And if you're feeling lost, if you feel like you wasted a lot of time with no break coming your way, this video is for you. I had a 14-year summer and it was great. Everybody loves summer. I was walking barefoot everywhere. I was booking flights and traveling around the world whenever I wanted without having to inform anybody. I didn't have any debt, any commitment, any responsibility really, apart from working. The problem was that whatever I misunderstood for freedom in reality was being lost. This tiny difference will rob you of 1 decade of your life and you won't notice until it's too late. And some people go through all their life without even noticing. It took me 2 years to be able to word this feeling and the previous 14 to become aware of it. Beginnings hide themselves in ends, the song goes. So let me start from the beginning. As a kid, I wanted to become a movie director. I grew up with Spielberg, Scorsese, Tarantino, Fellini, and many of the great ones. All my free time was invested in watching movies and reading about movies. A cinema was my church. But the one day that I convinced myself that it would have been too hard and too expensive to pursue that dream is the day I stopped investing energy into making it become a reality. Excuses started to creep in. You know that feeling when you start self-doubting yourself, and eventually they became louder than my will to make it happen. So I started believing them and I stopped trying. Right before I left for Australia for good, and I will call this season spring, I fell in love with a Swiss girl, but eventually I did the one thing that you would expect from a boy. And when things started getting serious, I left. So I went back to Australia chasing that summer. Back then I told her I wanted to study cinema, and back then I really meant it. There was a school in Byron Bay and some schools in Sydney, and I really was looking into become a director through them, even if the tuition was crazy expensive, at least for me at that age. Little did I know I would have postponed it forever. But along the journey I decided that the easiest way for my creativity to come through and the least expensive would have been to write a book. And I had this crazy idea that I was writing since high school. When my classmates were taking notes, I was writing the draft for the story. So I started writing it and eventually it turned into a 140 pages manuscript. This was definitely cheaper to produce and limitless to my creativity because it doesn't require special effects or productivity costs and all the people involved into creating a movie. It just needs your mind and a pen or a typewriter. I still feel to this day that this is my gift to humanity. I created the characters, the land, the hard magic system, consulting a physicist, all the connections between the characters. And I asked one of my childhood friends, a very talented one, to draw every single character based on my description. Then everything stopped, all in a sudden, for no reason whatsoever. I got bored or I didn't believe it too much and I stopped. And all the characters that I created keep living rent-free inside of my mind. Again, that sense of not being enough was louder than my dreams. And for the next decade I focused on everything but that. I became a qualified chef, a photographer, a videographer, a health coach. I opened my own business making videos for privates. I made money with each one of these. I felt like Mr. Ripley. And all of those things to avoid doing the one thing I'm here for. Write the damn story. Allow your imagination to manifest into reality. Because this is the artist, this is the idea of Prometheus, taking the fire and giving it to people. But if Prometheus is self-doubting himself about stealing the fire from the gods, there is no Prometheus to start with. The main problem in life is that we feel we have so much time, but from year 16 to year 30, things start moving very fast. When we are kids, one afternoon feels like a whole summer. When we are adult, a day goes like this. And if you keep delaying the things that you instinctively feel you are meant to do, your purpose is aligned to those and you are good at, you want to give to the world, eventually you will wake up one day that you are 40 years old or 50 or 60 and you will think, what happened to the previous 20 years? They're gone. Like, I just woke up from a dream. And all those dreams and hopes will turn into regret, bitterness, and anger. And you don't want that, because the world is full of people like this. Gone, and time is the only asset that counts that you will never get back. But what people do not realize is that it takes 1 year of focused work, removing all the distractions, to completely change your life. It took me losing so many opportunities and people, including my ex-girlfriend that I kept promising the book to since 2013, to get here, and understand that the consequences of not taking action, the right actions, going forward will get increasingly more and more harmful. And when that reality check came, for once, I decided to follow my own advice. So recently I started making choices listening to my own instinct like it was a message from God, removing all the distraction and all the things I should be doing, all the advice from other people, and focusing inward and listening if the choice was aligned to my instinct, to my gut feeling. And all those choices brought me back to Switzerland, where I left from in 2012, at the edge of a small village where there is nothing but quiet and a lot of room for self-reflection and focusing on the things that matter. I got rid of anything that did not serve me anymore. Without any rational thought, I left cities and jobs one after the other, and eventually I arrived here. And I stopped because the place finally felt right. And all those things that I experienced over the years that I always consider a waste of time or a misdirection from my purpose and the things that I was supposed and I wanted to do, eventually became dots that I could connect to each other. I spent half of my life in envy, looking at other people for the clarity I did not have and I wanted, until one day I realized that each one of us is on a different journey, and comparing your own chapter with somebody else's chapters makes no sense, because you don't know what they went through and how long it took them to get to that point. And this activity of looking at others for the things you don't have is not only pointless, it's also harmful, because all the energy you are investing to look outside can be redirected inward and speed up your own journey, or anything else. The book is my own journey, you know yours. And you can spend your whole life blaming your parents, school, the bad influences you had, but when you are alone at night in your bed, you know the truth, that from year, let's say 13, 14, you are responsible of your own actions and of your own choices. You're just getting better and making excuses for the work that you know is necessary, even if it's hard, but you keep avoiding. You know exactly what you have to do. Define your goals, set a time frame, surround yourself with people whose normal is your desired lifestyle, and learn the skills and habits to get you there. And remove anything and anybody else that does not match with the kind of lifestyle that you want. It's tough, but staying average is going to be tougher. Simple choices, hard life. Hard choices, simple life. All the things you thought were a waste of time will have their time when you least expect it. And if you feel behind, you're not broken. You're just early in your plot. Nothing you lived was for nothing if you use it to build a better now. Because as Gandalf says, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that has been given to us. So if you feel your past was a waste of time, it will be easier to reframe it. I know so many things that did not work, but I'm getting closer and closer to what I know it will. If you want to succeed faster, you have to fail faster. On an eventful year of achieving everything that you've dreamt of, and on finishing the book, or anything that that book means for you, that you know you're holding back and is stopping you from going further on your journey.